Zuburbia Green Vintage proudly presents the Vintage Picks of the Week for the week ending April 2nd, 2010. It's said that April showers bring May flowers, but if you can't wait that long, then grab one of today's Vintage Picks of the Day. These colorful vintage flower pins don't require planting, watering, weeding, or cutting, and they won't drop their petals and wilt in a few days. No, these beauties can add a whimsical touch to your wardrobe all summer long. Whether you pin them to a bobby pin for an instant hair accessory or pin one to the pocket of your blazer, they're fabulous fun finds for vintage fashionistas. Available from Archive Vintage. It seems odd that chiffon comes from an old French word meaning rag. This sheer, delicate, flowing fabric looks nothing like a rag to me. In fact, when held up to the light, you'll see it almost looks like woven netting. And heaven bless the seamstresses who work with this notoriously difficult fabric and turn it into beautiful frocks like today's Vintage Pick of the Day. This vintage party dress in a sublime shade of aqua is a beautiful little find for a vintage fashionista. Available from Girl on a Vine at senseoffashion.com. Ask someone the first thing they think of when they see yellow, and most likely they'll say the sun. But yellow is also associated with hope. Think yellow ribbons and yellow Live Strong bracelets. And since it's the most visible color, it also grabs attention, which explains why so many taxicabs, school buses, traffic signs, and advertisements feature it. In fashion, one surefire way to douse yellow's flame is to mix it with white. Today's Vintage Pick of the Day does that beautifully. This 1980s cotton jacket by Courrèges is sure to inject a little sunshine into any spring wardrobe. It's a yummy yellow find for a vintage fashionista. Available from Zuburbia. While I spend most of my time featuring contemporary vintage pieces, I think it's important to discuss iconic vintage pieces as well, and today's Vintage Pick of the Day is a fine example. This dress was produced by Campbell's Soup during the 1960s when paper dresses were all the rage, and yes, that soup can image was inspired by the artwork of Andy Warhol. The dress is held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Andy Warhol Museum, FIT, and a few other museums around the world. Officially called the Super Dress, these dresses are extremely rare and can fetch a pretty price at auction. In fact, according to ArtNet, in 1998, one sold for $6,900. Since this one has a wee bit of damage and it's selling on eBay and not in an auction house, I don't expect the ending bid to get quite that high, but it's certainly worth adding to your eBay watch list because it's an exciting find for a collecting vintage fashionista. Available from K. Patty on eBay. I've always been the kind of person who zigs when everyone else zags, and I'm seldom able to start at point A and get to point B in a direct line. No, I prefer a life filled with detours and the unexpected, for as I Ching expert Carol K. Anthony writes, the way of the cosmos is zigzag. But if you're the type who has trouble deciding if you should zig or zag on any particular day, then today's Vintage Pick of the Day is for you. This smashing vintage 1970s gown by Pauline Trégère takes away the guesswork and says that at least for today, it's perfectly okay to zig and zag. The beautiful silk print, eye-catching colors, and angel wing sleeves are a winning combination. It's a truly beautiful Trégère find for a vintage fashionista. Available from Frock NYC. I'm Mary Kincaid, founder of Zuburbia Green Vintage, and that concludes this week's selections. Remember, you can receive the Vintage Pick of the Day via email for free, along with detailed size, price, and purchase information. To sign up or to shop for fabulous hand-selected vintage clothing, visit us at Zuburbia.com.